Hello everyone, it's me, Clayton. I just got back from watching Smile Down the Runway, based off the shonen manga of the same name, and animated by Studio Azola, who you might remember for Happy Sugar Life and Are You Lost? In fact, the director of this show happens to be the same director as Happy Sugar Life, though the content of it is entirely different. The shonen anime genre generally consists of a lot of shows about muscular men and boys fighting each other, and the occasional sports series. But the shonen anime formula has been used for tons of other shows since then, and even for people who aren't interested in fashion and modeling, this show will surprise you when it comes to how much it'll get you invested in something that seems like it's the antithesis of what the genre is all about. But let's get to the story, shall we? The story is centered on two main characters. Chiyuki, a short model who, despite having the skills to pay the bills, is not allowed to join her father's designer company, Milnage, because of her height of only 5'2". She ends up being unable to follow her dreams until she meets Ikuto Sumura, a boy with the excellent designer skills, but with a terrible financial situation, exacerbated by the fact that his mother is ill and his sisters have their own ambitions in sports and academics. On top of that, he's only in high school, so he's pretty limited in that regard as well. But in order to prove everyone who told them they can't do something that they can do it, and to follow their dreams, the two work together to try and become the best designer and model in the world. Now, the story presented here is something that you've probably seen several times when you get bound down to the basic fundamentals of it, but the characters that are involved in said story are so likable, and the struggles so realistic to the point where you can't help but root for them. Chiyuki and Ikuto aren't perfect people. Ikuto tends not to follow certain advice with fashion that would help him win competitions, and Chiyuki can tend to be a little stubborn when it comes to what she wants, but that just makes them more realistic, and it highlights their more positive traits. So the fact that both of them never give up, and both of them always find some kind of way to help not only themselves, but others that are in tough situations. The villains of the series, but I use villain as a asterisk considering they're more like just typical more like antagonists, are, instead of being pure evil, they are either done in situations where you'd understand why they act a certain way, or they feel the same kind of feeling of being left out the way that Chiyuki and Ikuto feel. Igarashi, for instance, is the manager of another one of the side characters, Kokoro, whose own dreams of becoming a model were dashed. So part of her antagonism is the sense that she doesn't want her client to also feel the same heartbreak that she did. So Ayano, one of the main antagonists of the arc that this anime goes through, was born with so much privilege after being the grandson of an incredible designer himself that he naturally would have no understanding of what Ikuto would go through when it comes to his poor financial situation. While they can certainly be jerks from time to time, they have circumstances that let you understand why they are that way. On top of that, the series is just a joy to look at. It's not always a looker when it comes to fast-paced sakuga, as you might call it, but when it comes to animation that highlights the clothes, the different kinds of fabric, and even making something as simple as models walking down a runway one by one, the animation really happens to make it all look really fascinating. And a lot of that has to do with the various effects added in, mainly because there is talk of the series of models having a certain aura to them, the various types of fabric that they use throughout the series that are all given different styles, and even when the animation isn't always at its best, it's stylistically done in a way that manages to get a reaction from you even when it's done in still images. So basically, Smile Down the Runway definitely won't be remembered as the best anime of the season, but it's definitely worth your time due to the characters, due to the subject matter, and due to, in my opinion, one of the most satisfying endings of this type of shonen that I've seen to date. That's why I'm going to give Smile Down the Runway a 9 out of 10. See you next time.